Prayer. Unetlana, we come to you in prayer today. We thank you for this day. Thank you for our blessings. Thank you for the opportunity to come together in fellowship, to help one another, to learn from one another. Pray that you please be with all those who are ill today and who are healing, who are fighting battles. Please just give them strength and give them courage to continue fighting, Creator. We just thank you for this day and all that we're blessed with. Amen. So I want to say welcome to everybody. Sione God. I thank you guys all for joining us. Today we are joined by Tonya Wapskineh. She is going to teach us about her program, which she operates, the diabetes prevention. This is extremely important, not maybe, even if yourself isn't affected by it, we all know somebody, who could definitely use this education. And, to approach this from a cultural aspect also, I think is extremely important. So, I just want to go ahead and turn it over to Tonya now. Tonya, Wado for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Wado, see you everyone. It's really good to be here and to provide information on our program. And when I was actually talking to my son, he's 17 years old, and I was asking him, how do I title this? Because we were busy earlier this week. I go, what would people want to learn about diabetes prevention? Because I've been doing diabetes prevention for 16 years now. And so he was like, just teach them small things, like little things that they can do. And that put this whole presentation into a better perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation. Can I do that?
Yes.
Okay.
You should be able to share your screen.
I just clicked on it. It said host disabled. Screen
okay, share. Let me make you a host right now. Sorry
okay.
about that.
So yeah, so that's why I titled it as Steps to Preventing Diabetes, because it really isn't, I mean, it can be, if you're very dedicated and, in a perfect world, we would not have diabetes. We would not be in the situation we're in. But since it does affect natives more than it does non-natives, then I think it's important for us to learn different things that we can do, and then pick up whenever we need to, because sometimes things happen. You may lose a relative, or maybe work stress, or change in, a financial situation. And so your health it takes a back seat usually. And I know that, like, just within my family, we'll be busy, we'll, try to fill up our day doing things, and especially around our dances, we're busy, but we're also working very hard. So, but as far as staying on that path of, trying to take care of ourselves, it's hard, because as, being Cherokee, especially with me being a Cherokee woman, I want to take care of everybody else. And usually a lot of times that's the same thing for a lot of our members as well, is they take care of everybody, and they want to make sure everybody is okay. And usually they're themselves are the last ones that they think about. So basically with diabetes prevention, you have to look at yourself. You have to take time for yourself, and title it me time or whatever you want to do, and say, okay, I'm going to do 1 hour of, just taking care of myself, whatever that may be, planning your meals, shopping for healthy foods, taking a walk, just different things like that, and that you need to be present, and then allow that space so that you can focus on yourself and being well. Because if you're not well, and then you won't be able to help the people that you love or that you want to take care of. So let me go ahead and start my screen. All right. I haven't done a presentation in a long time. COVID kind of, it's a little different. So this is the title, Steps to Preventing Diabetes. Um, it was said I was a diabetes prevention coordinator here at Cherokee Nation. My job is to basically help people prevent diabetes in our Cherokee communities, whether that's, here around Oklahoma or even out in our Cherokee communities out of state. And so right now we're doing classes on Zoom. So I'm not going to go into too much depth about trying to get you involved in our classes, but I wanted to give you some steps that you could do, um, some information that you can do at home. And then when you're ready to commit to our class, then you'll be ready. You'll know what our class is about. All right. So first off, what is diabetes? That's always the big question that I get whenever I do a presentation or if I'm talking to somebody. We know that, there's jokes around it, about, drinking pop or eating a lot of candy. And people think that that's how you get diabetes. It can be part of it if you do, have that all the time, but it's basically your body's inability to process sugar. And sugar comes from our food. So it could be any kind of food. And when it breaks down, our body breaks it down, our body's not able to process that sugar or that glucose. It's not able to process it correctly. So it ends up causing more sugar to be in our blood. And so that's why it's called, why you have like a high blood glucose. And one of the things that some like another provider talked about, and he just came here from other places, and he came here to Cherokee Nation. He said that the information that people are receiving is really good because people know what an A1C is, they know what fasting is. So these are the different types of tests on how you can be tested to know if you do have diabetes or if you have normal levels of diabetes. And I encourage everybody to at least test at least once a year to see where you're at if you're not already a person with diabetes. So fasting is basically you haven't eaten anything 10 to 12 hours, and then you test and you see what your blood sugar level is. If it's below 100, that means you're in the normal range. If you're 100 to 125, that's considered pre-diabetes. And those are the people that we work with. If you're 126 on up, then that would be considered the diabetes range. And if you have symptoms, you would be diagnosed as diabetes. Sometimes it takes like 2 tests to confirm diabetes. So it's pretty much up to your provider. The hemoglobin A1C test, that's basically a blood test that's done, and it takes a look at the past 3 months of where your sugar has been at, and it kind of gives you a range of where you have been. So the numbers are a little bit different for that. So anything below 5.6, 5.6 and below is normal. 5.7 to 6.4, pre-diabetes, that's who we work with. And even those people that are in normal blood ranges. And then anybody 6.5 on up, that's considered diabetes. And then you have your 2-hour glucose test. And I think women are familiar with that. When you're pregnant, then you'll drink like a sugar drink, and then they'll test and see what your blood levels are. All right, so I kind of talked a lot about that, but moving on, types of diabetes. So type 1 is basically an autoimmune disease. This is your inability, a person's inability to produce insulin. Insulin is created from our pancreas, and it helps break down that sugar. And if you don't have insulin that you're able to produce, then that sugar is just going to stay in your blood. So our type 1 diabetes, it's something that's family history only. It's something that kind of just happens, and it's different than type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, this is what our program focuses on. Um, it's having high blood sugar. It's either you have an insulin resistance that's happening or a lack in insulin. So something's going on in your body to where it's just not breaking down those molecules and getting the insulin's not able to break down the sugar. And then gestational, this is whenever women have elevated blood sugars when they're pregnant, and usually when they're done after the baby's born, then they go back to having a normal blood glucose. And we actually work with people that have gestational diabetes. So if you're a woman that has gestational, then you're actually able to work with our program. And then prediabetes, this is the levels that I was talking to you about. It's just right between having normal blood sugar, and then there's like this prediabetes range, and it's very small actually. And then there's the diabetes range. So at the prediabetes level, that's where we try to catch people at, and our gestationals, and then people that are at a higher risk for diabetes. So are you at risk? A lot of people I've worked in diabetes programs for a very long time, I'm not gonna, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, for over 20 years. So I wasn't trying to date myself, but yeah, so in communities all over the place, and natives throughout the US that I've worked with, that I talked to, um, everybody used to have this fatalistic view that I'm gonna get diabetes. It doesn't matter when it's gonna happen. So I'm just gonna eat what I want. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm not gonna exercise because it's gonna happen to me anyways. And one of the things that we've noticed now, after prevention programs have been around for as long, that view has kind of changed a little bit, and people are realizing that blood sugars can be controlled, and there's not that fatalistic view, even for people that have diabetes. They don't automatically think, amputations or different things like that. That used to be very common. So I think that the message of hope that diabetes can be prevented, and diabetes complications can be prevented, I think it's been out there. And so I'm really thankful that you guys are here and you want to learn. And that says a lot about you and being interested. And usually those are the first steps. So basically, if you're at risk for prediabetes or diabetes, if you're a woman that had a baby that weighed more than 9 pounds, that would put you at an elevated risk. If you have a parent or sibling with diabetes, that would also increase your risk. If you're overweight, that's also a risk factor. And this is basically off of the BMI scale. If you know anything about body mass index, that could tell you if you're overweight. The BMI, it is a little different because it doesn't account for muscle. So if you work out a lot and you look at the BMI scale, it's probably not going to apply to you because you'll have more muscle than you will just somebody that doesn't work out. So if you have been told that you're overweight, or your doctor is, kind of letting you know that, then that would kind of mean that you're at risk for diabetes. If you get little or no exercise in a typical day, so say for instance, you're in the office all day, or if you have a different kind of job where you're just sitting there all day and the steps that you get is limited. If you've ever been one to track your steps, um, and you're under 4,000 a day, then that would be little to no exercise on a typical day. And then also if you're over 45 years of age, and especially if you're 65 and over, that would put you at a higher risk. All right, so with that, there's hope. And this is where the diabetes prevention program comes in. The diabetes prevention program is basically been researched. It was a huge research study from NIH and the National Institutes of Health, and then the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. And it was supposed to be a 10-year research, but they ended up shutting it down quickly because of the results that they had. So what they did was they enrolled 3,000 adults and had them in 27 locations. And half of those 3,000 were actually from indigenous populations, from Asian American, African American, Latinos, sorry, population that, so it was people that were at a higher risk for diabetes. And so they wanted to use this to see if it actually worked on indigenous people and other racial people. So 1,000, so basically divide all 3,000 people up into 1,000. So 1,000 people were put in the no treatment. Of course, there was no change because they weren't getting anything. They weren't getting medication. They weren't getting a lifestyle change. 1,000 people were put in the medication area, and then they ended up reducing their risk by 31%. So, I mean, this is good, right? I mean, 31% is better than nothing. And then lifestyle change. This was kind of like, this is what we do. We provide this lifestyle change or this information. So the people that were put in the lifestyle change group, they actually reduced their risk by 58%. And because of this amount of the results, and because it was so great and so positive, that's why the research study was ended, and they were like, okay, we got to get this information out. So what happened was in health service, they actually received money, and then they decided to do this in Native communities, the same program, put it in Native communities because of what was happening, because 58% compared to 31%, that's huge. That's almost twice as much more effective than being put on medication. And I know a lot of people that have been put on different medication. They're like, I can eat whatever I want because I'm on medicine. My medicine's going to take care of it. But it's not always the case, because we have to take ownership of ourselves and the choices that we make. And 58%, that's a lot. And for us to be able to reduce that much, and with just, living a healthier lifestyle, and preventing diabetes, doing that, those are good results. So we basically started doing this in 2006 here at Cherokee Nation with the money that was given to IHS. Cherokee Nation received, excuse me, a great grant that just focused this program within Cherokee communities. And we provided this information back to IHS, and it also went back to Congress to show that it's just as effective in Indian country than it is, in other communities. So I'm gonna take a drink real fast. So kind of what I was talking about before, my son, whenever he said, well, just talk about steps. Well, it was perfect because before I came here, I worked with CDC on a CDC program And this was one of their big logos. It's called Small Steps, Big Rewards. And a lot of people basically, going and listening to everybody that I've worked with, they want a quick fix. And that's something that is everywhere. And especially with weight or with, being active, or say, somebody wants to run a marathon, it doesn't, that nothing is going to happen in one day. It's going to take small steps to do that. So like the picture you see, a true solution, the small steps leading up to the door, that's achievable. If you look to the other picture with the three huge steps, that's not a solution, because that's very hard to do for anybody to climb three steps that big and to, actually have something to have the effect that you want. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. You can't think of um, being able to do things in such a fast amount of time. You have to realize that your body has become this way over years, maybe. And so it's going to take a while for you to see the results that you want. Or in terms of diabetes, and sugar, it's going to take some time for your blood sugars to go back down, or for you to lose weight or be more active. So it just takes some steps. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. The goals of our program for diabetes prevention program, we have two main goals. The first one is lose weight through healthy eating. Um, and the way that we try to calculate everybody that comes through the program, we give them a 5% weight goal. So the example that I put here is, like, say a participant came in, they weighed 195, their goal is 185. Typically, whenever people come in and they weigh 195, they're like, I want to lose 50 pounds, And so even though our program's a year long, we have seen that happen. But typically, whenever people are just starting out, um, weight is going to fluctuate, especially during a program. So say you have a scale and it's going down. Well, you start up here, and then through the program you'll see, you dropping, but then something happens, it goes up. So it's kind of like, this is basically how your weight it will progress. So just trying to keep things realistic. And with having a 5% body weight goal of trying to lose, that will, it makes a huge difference. We've seen it in our program. So even though you may think that you need to lose 30, 40, 50, 100 pounds, if you just do the math and do 5% of what you weigh, you're already going to prevent diabetes with just 5%. Okay, so I don't want you to think that you have to lose so much weight in order to have an effect on your body. It's 5% at a time. Okay, and just think of it like that. And then also the second goal is to be more physically active. So it's 150 minutes per week, but with our participants, if they haven't been doing anything, we don't want them to start doing 150 minutes in a week. And this kind of, goes back to like New Year resolutions, and people are like, okay, I'm going to be active. I'm going to do everything. And, they'll go to the gym the first week and they'll go every single day. And then, at the end of the week, they're hurting. They're like, this is why I don't go to the gym, So it's like you're doing too much that your body's not ready for. So with our participants, we give them like 1 week, it'll be 30 minutes. The next week, 45, 60, depending on how they did with that 30 minutes. And then we gradually have them go up to 150 minutes, because it does take time, and your body does need to get used to it, because it'll reduce your risk for injury, it'll reduce your risk for feeling sore all day long. Not that we feeling sore is bad, because it just shows that you're working and your body is building muscle. Those muscle fibers are getting stronger. Um, but we don't want you to hurt. Like, we don't want you to not be more physically active. So those are your two main goals. Very small, small steps. All right, so here's a step. And I didn't really put them in any specific order. It's just kind of the order that we use in our curriculum. Um, and it, is based on research. So the first four um, sessions that we have in our curriculum is over nutrition. Why? Because nutrition is very important. What you eat, what you put in your body is very important. And that's what makes the change. Because with pre-diabetes or any kind of like losing weight or blood sugar, whatever, things that you need to work on, nutrition accounts for 80% of that change. And physical activity only accounts for 20%. But they need to work together for you to get the maximum benefits, if that makes sense. So nutrition, 80%. That's why we keep it why it's very important. So I'm kind of just going to go through this really quickly. I just noticed time, and then I do want you guys to kind of give me some ideas later. So this is one of the steps. Basically, reduce your fat grams. That's one of the things that we focus on is fat grams, and basically it's your caloric intake, because fat grams has 9 calories per 1 gram of fat. That's why we focus on that. Learn to read food labels. A lot of times companies market food saying, this is low fat, this is da da da, because a lot of people, they're trying to do better, right? And so they'll look at they won't read the food label, but then when you do look at the food label, you'll realize that, say, there's like a bag of chips, and maybe, it's this big, okay? And then if they were on the back of the food label, it may say like 4 servings is like 2 grams of fat. Okay, so when you look at 2 grams of fat on the food label, you'll think that this whole whatever this is 2 grams of fat. Well, if there's 4 servings in it, it's actually 8 grams of fat. So you have to be really mindful of looking at those food labels and seeing what you're eating. And then keeping track of your food and your drinks, that is actually the number one way for you to make a change. I'm not kidding. We've been doing this program since 2006. And the people that have kept track of their food, whether just writing it down in some kind of tracker or using it online, you can find things on your phone like MyFitnessPal or Lose It. You can track your phone or track your what you eat and your drinks that way, and because you'll realize what you're actually putting in your body or how many calories you're ingesting every day. And so if you don't know what that is, I challenge everyone to at least try that for one day. Just eat normally, like how you would normally eat, and then track it, see how many fat grams are that you had for the day, see how many calories you've had for the day, and it kind of gives you an idea of where you are, and then it kind of gives you an idea of where you want to be. So for instance, if you weigh anywhere up to 174 with our program, your fat gram goal would be 33. If you weigh more than that, up to, I believe it's like 220, then it's 42 grams, and then it goes up to 48, and then goes up to 50. Okay, so and you can find that information. So another thing in order to reduce your caloric intake is eat foods high in calories less often. So say donuts. Everybody likes donuts, right? So instead of having them every day, have them once a week. Maybe if that's your thing, maybe twice a week, but try to, just scale things back. And then eventually maybe it'll just be once a month. So you kind of like lose that craving once you start changing the way you eat. Also, eat smaller amounts. So going back to the donut example, instead of having three glazed donuts, have one, and then bring a banana and eat a banana. So, just reducing that amount. And then eat lower calorie foods instead. So, so if you're reducing your donut intake for the week, then instead of having donuts, maybe, you know, say, you know what, I'm going to have some oatmeal. I'm going to have some proteins, so maybe some egg whites, and then that's kind of what I'm going to go for. And so you're just choosing lower calorie foods. And then this link right here, this can give you suggestions in that it's like personalized for you. So I challenge everybody to also do that, to go to choosemyplate.gov and pull up, put your information in, and they'll give you examples of the foods that you can eat. They'll also give you examples of like the calories, that suggestions on what you can eat in order to, um, lose weight or to maintain. All right. Next one. Going along with food, this has been also another struggle for people that are in our program. Ask for what you want when you go out to eat. So I know that with COVID, we were pretty much all at home. Um, Now, restaurants are opening back up. People are wanting to get out more, and they're wanting to see their friends or see their family. And so eating out is going to be, a thing to do because people have been, inside for so long. So whenever you ask um, waiters or waitresses or whatever restaurants they are, don't be afraid to, if there's like a dinner on there and say, it's fried shrimp, don't hesitate to ask the waiter or the waitress, can this be grilled? Can I get grilled shrimp instead? And 9 times out of 10, they're very, they'll help you, they're accommodating. And then if the sides are like French fries and fried something else, then ask to have a different substitution. Like, can I have the mixed veggies, or can I have the rice instead? And so don't hesitate to do that. Also, another big one, another tip is since you are preventing diabetes, you're kind of taking charge of what you're eating. One of the things that we tell our participants is to order first. And why would you do that? It's because it will set the tone. So on your healthy eating journey, it's really hard, especially if you're going to a restaurant that maybe you love something that they have. Maybe it's like chicken fried steak and gravy, mashed potatoes, and say that's something that you really want, but now that you're, on this healthy eating journey and you're trying to stay under your certain calories for a day, your fat grams for a day, and your friend orders it, then you're going to go, that sounds so good. Never mind, I want the same thing. So if you order first, then you kind of set the tone for everybody. If you have a grilled chicken salad, then your friend's going to be like, do I really want to have the chicken fried steak? You know what I mean? So you kind of set the tone for other people as well. And you're being a good example. All right, next step. Find the time to be active. This This is the biggest challenge for everyone is time. I know that during COVID, we did have more time to be active, but we also had more time to, be home and not really having the ability to have the things to be active. But um, one of the things that we suggest within the diabetes prevention program is walking. And that's why I said on there, got 10 minutes, because if you can walk for 10 minutes, that's going to help prevent diabetes. And 10 minutes a day, and then say you do 10 minutes 3 times the next day, and then you just increase that, and then you get your 150 minutes in. As long as you can do something for 10 minutes, that's going to benefit your heart. It's going to start lowering your blood pressure. It's going to start raising your HDL. It's going to make you feel better. And it wakes you up, especially if you're at work. Like, for instance, I'm in this office all day long. I'll get up for 10 minutes. I'll move because I need to, because I'll get in that 3 o'clock sluggish route and I'll need to move around. So just try to find those 10-minute slots, and then eventually work up to 20 minutes, and then eventually get to 30 minutes, as long as you can find that time to get 150 minutes into your week. All right, the next one, this is huge as well. Keep things at home and work that make you want to be healthy and eat healthy. And this is where I need your help. And so if you have any ideas, go ahead and put them in the chat box. And Abraham, I can't see anything because I have my presentation on. So if anybody drops anything, can you let me know what they are?
Sure. So you are looking for ideas for classes?
Ideas for people, what they can keep at home and work, things that they can see that would want them to be healthy or to eat healthy.
Okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
So we have one right now from Emily, frozen grapes.
Yes, definitely. Open the fridge. A lot of times people will walk to the refrigerator out of boredom, or, I don't know, check to see if the light's still working. I don't know. But frozen grapes, having them right in front of you, eye level, keeping those healthy foods eye level, you're typically going to choose that than to choose something. If you keep your frozen food, grapes down in a compartment, or your healthy foods down in a compartment, 9 times out of 10, you're going to forget about them and you're not going to eat them. So you want to keep them eye level, especially if you have children. Children love to get in the refrigerator all the time. So keeping those healthy foods eye level for them, and they love fruit. It tastes great. And so keeping those things available. That's a good idea, Emily.
And then from Julie, we have portion size snacks, healthy options.
Yes. So whenever you go grocery shopping, choose those foods that you can bring home, and try not to just put your food away. Try to go ahead and pre-package them and put them maybe in a portion container or like a baggie. Try to put them in something where it's already ready to go, because if you put, say, like a kind of what I said earlier, if you put your produce and your healthy stuff down in the compartments and it's not cleaned, it hasn't been cut up or anything, you're not going to grab, it's not like a grab and go thing. So having that ready, and it will help you. Good idea.
And then I have a question about fruit. Is there a limit, because it does have sugar, on how much fruit you should be eating a day?
Okay, so there is, well, there's a kind of like a goal. and it's called like eat five, or you want to choose five, and that's vegetables and fruits. So you want to try to choose five servings of fruits and vegetables per day. Um, you can overdo it on fruit if that's all you're eating all the time. Is it healthier than candy? Definitely. So if that's something that you need to do, then you still want to try to get in your proteins and your whole grains, because everything in moderation, right? If you do things to extreme, it sometimes isn't does not work in your favor. But if it's a healthy alternative to cakes or pies or candy bars or things that are very high in calories, then I would go ahead and choose the fruit option. Um, would I eat a whole watermelon at one time? No. Drink a whole jug of orange juice? No. You want to remember your serving sizes. So typically 1 cup is a serving size, and a cup is not like this. This is 16 ounces. So half of this is considered a serving. So that would be your serving for the day, for like if you wanted orange juice. So you just want to keep those things in mind.
Great. And then one more question. How about I eat a lot of nuts. Sometimes I try to get them unsalted, but sometimes I will eat them salted. Is that a healthy alternative?
Okay, so I want to say I'm not a dietitian, so I'm not
Hmm.
getting any medical nutrition
Hmm.
therapy. I have to say that because I'm not licensed. From the curriculum, nuts are a healthy alternative, but it is higher in fat, so you want to be careful with how much you're eating. So basically, what you can fit into, I don't know if you can see my hand, whatever you can fit into the palm of your hand,
Hmm.
that would be what you would want to have for the day.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know it's not a lot, but that's kind of how much it is.
All right. Thank you, Tanya. That's all the suggestions we have right now.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. And I don't have time for suggestions right here, but the next one is get rid of things that get in your way of to cause you to lose your healthy balance. So, for instance, buying food that you that isn't healthy, that's high in calories, that type of thing. Keeping that out of your house would be the best thing that from our participants, that's what they say. Also, like especially at work, trying or going shopping, avoiding those aisles that you know where they are in the grocery store, with the candy and the cakes, the bakery section. If that's your weakness, keep moving. If it's bread, um I don't know, chips, keep moving, keep going in the grocery store. So just trying to keep the things that are those that aren't going to help you on your wellness journey, then I would go ahead and just keep out of sight, out of mind. The next one is replace negative thoughts with positive ones. So, negative thoughts, this is good or bad. You want to work towards balance. The negative thought excuses, you want to say it's worth a try. So instead of like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, then say, you know what, I'm going to try it one time, see if it works. A negative thought is also should, like I should have went on a walk today. I knew whatever reason I should have done this. And then the positive thought is like, well, it was my choice. Tomorrow I'll go ahead and do that. Then the other negative thought is not as good as, and especially in our wellness journey, we can look at that, especially if you're doing this with a partner or a friend, and you start comparing yourself to other people. And I know that's huge too, especially with social media. like, wow, they did this, and there's no way I could ever do that because I'm not good as good as them. Like, I don't have the motivation. I don't, I can't pay for a gym membership, something like that. So that's a negative thought. And instead of thinking that way, you just have to realize everyone's different. And remember, all we're trying to get you to do is just not get you to do, suggest you to do is just walk. Walking is basically all it takes. And then just choosing healthier foods. And then also a negative thought is give up. Like, this isn't, like, say you're going to do this wellness journey, and instead of seeing the results quickly like a lot of people do, you decide to give up, and that's a negative thought. And even though you may not see results quickly, it's going to happen. And sometimes you don't see them here. Sometimes it takes you going to the doctor, them testing your sugar, and then you lowering your blood glucose, and that's the goal. So our outside is different than kind of what's going on inside. We can't always see that. What inside is what matters, and knowing our numbers is what matters. So you always want to know your blood pressure, you always want to know your blood glucose, and then you want to know like your lipids. And the positive thought to that is one step at a time. I have to do this little by little. Everything that I do, it's working towards a goal. I'm eventually going to get there. I'm not going to give up. Okay. The next one is get back on your feet. If you slip from your plans from healthy eating and being active, it will happen. Things happen all the time. Slips happen all the time. So if you slip, and maybe you took a week off, then just come back the next week and say, you know what, I'm gotta get back on, um, and choosing better foods and being more active. And then handling stress, social events, and other people that make it hard for you to change. That's this is like a whole new. That's like 3 sessions in one. But just for example, handling stress, it's basically sometimes you just have to learn to say no to things, take care of yourself. Social events, example of that would be, um, that especially with natives, when we get together, we eat, right? All the time. And so for a social event, bring something that is a low calorie food. So maybe a vegetable tray or a fruit tray. And that way you'll have a choice that you can eat and cover half of your plate with. And then other people that make it hard for you to change. Sometimes we have those people in our lives, and maybe they're not ready for a change, and they're not, there with you. So finding those friends or people that can motivate you and encourage you, or can be an example for you. Those are the people that you want to um, be around, or you want to follow on Instagram or social media, and they can be an inspiration as well. And the next one is remember your purpose. And I think yeah, we have a little couple of suggestions here if you can drop them in the box. Why do you want to prevent diabetes? If you prevent diabetes, what do you hope to achieve? And then how would preventing diabetes help you and others? So this is the main thing that we always ask our participants to do. When they first come in through the door, we have them fill this out and we ask them these questions. And then later on, when maybe they're not getting the results that they want and they're having those negative thoughts, we have them to remember their purpose, even if that means taking that page out of their notebook and putting it somewhere, so to where they can see it. So did anybody drop any answers?
Yes.
Okay.
From Julie, we have stop the cycle of diabetes for you and loved ones.
Yes, that's great.
And I know, for myself also, I would just mention mine would be to, be able to be around and spend quality time with my kids and grandkids when I
Yes.
do get grandkids. But for me, something you said really resonated with me also about walking. My whole life I would get super pumped up to get in the gym, and I would go and I would hit it hard, and for like 4 days, and then I
Yeah.
would quit, and I would get burned out, and I'd be like, oh, and then I would just like wouldn't go back to the gym for like 6 months. But
Yeah.
walking, it's easy to do. It's so relaxing. Like I go around Marcoma, they have that little trail, kind of like a gravel trail or something.
Uh-huh.
And I just go, and it's really easy to do, really relaxing, like you said, lowers my stress, and I'm able to keep doing it.
Right.
And so, for me, that was really the key, is instead of like trying to go hard, be a muscle man and like, be all
Yeah.
jacked and everything, I had to be realistic. And
Right.
realistically, this is something I'm going to keep doing. So thank
Right.
you for mentioning that.
Yes. It's free. Doesn't, you can do it whenever you want,
Mm-hmm.
go wherever you want. So that's why we suggest it, and it works.
From Emily, we have be healthy and able to do different activities, able to sit on the floor with students and be able to get up easily.
Yes, that's huge. Because as we get older, our bodies, they don't work the way that they used to. And especially with losing weight or just feeling healthier, we have more, we have the ability to get around faster and do things different. So yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that one also. Emily, as we get older, I notice I make sounds now when I'm getting up or, I'm sitting down. I never did that before. And also, I notice now whenever I tie my shoes, I look for somewhere to sit down. Used to, I would just like bend down, tie my shoes, it's not a big deal. And now I'm like, oh, I'm looking for a chair. So, you're right. Our bodies are changing. We definitely do need to, pay attention to this stuff. And also, like you said, set a good example. I don't want my kids to have to struggle with some of these things as much as I did. And
Yeah.
so, that's definitely the goal too. Thank you, Tonya.
All right. Well, those are all good reasons to prevent diabetes. And on your wellness journey, remember those, and that will keep you going. And that actually concludes my presentation. If you want more information and want to be in our program, just contact us. Here's my contact information. I am in Tahlequah. We do have Zoom going on. We are kind of full right now, but please give us a call or email. We'll get you on the waiting list. The program that we have, it's for a year long. So we'll meet with you for once a week for 4 months, and then we'll go to twice a month, and then we'll go once a month. And it's just kind of see how you're doing, because those first 4 months, that's when you're going to make the biggest changes. And then we just want to kind of see how you're maintaining. So if you're interested, just let us know. And but no.
Well, Tanya, I really appreciate that. And, it's definitely motivated me because, I'm definitely follow a wellness program. It's something that I incorporate into my life, but I've been eating a lot of cobbler lately. We've been having a lot more food now since we're able to get out a little more and eat. And, it's definitely just a good reminder. Even if you aren't in pre-diabetes, I've been writing stuff down as you've been talking because, it's just good to be reminded about this stuff. I do need to make sure I am exercising, I am getting out of the office, that I am, making it important, what I'm eating and taking the time instead of, like you said, just grabbing what's easy. And usually what's easy is a burger or, something like that. And so, I really just appreciate the reminder. I think it's something we can all do, so we don't get to the pre-diabetes stage, or, have to come in and see you, a lot. But I'm really happy that you guys provide this resource. I actually didn't know a lot about the program until your presentation today. So I really appreciate you sharing all this information.
Yeah, well, thank you for allowing me to speak. We try to get information out, and because of COVID, it's been really hard to do that because we're really reliant on other people to share this information. And I know there's, people kind of haven't really been thinking about that because we've gone through so much in the past year. So I think now people are still starting to remember, like, okay, yes, I need to do this now. We've had a lot of people contact us because having a year off, people have gained weight, or they have been more sedentary, and maybe things have changed, and so we're here for y'all.
Thank you very much, Tanya. That's really awesome. Yeah, I have heard the term COVID weight a lot. A lot of people during this time, myself included, did a lot of comfort eating.
Hmm.
Before I moved back to California, I lived in the city. And when things were shut down because of COVID, there was nowhere to go. Like
Right.
they even shut the parks. And so you're right, we are more sedentary. I think we are probably a little heavier, a lot of us. So I think it's a great time to, bring these things back and start practicing them. So
Right.
awesome. From Roberta, she says, thank you both for providing this opportunity for us to learn more. Definitely. And I just want
Oh,
to
you're
once again
welcome.
say thank you, Tanya. This has been very knowledgeable for me. So,
One, you're welcome.
all right. So that concludes everything for our presentation today. I will put this up on YouTube. Feel free to share with your loved ones or coworkers, because like I said, I think what Tanya has to say is very important. So, with that, I will say Don Da Go Hunting, everyone. Until we see each other again, thank you for joining us. What up?
Don't know, go hunt ye.